All right, we're live.
Okay. All right. Welcome, everyone. I am Kathy Weaver. I am the creator and the director of the Information Challenge Initiative at the College of Information Studies in the University of Maryland. We get to host these fun events, the one in the spring, which is called Info Challenge, and it's for the college age students. They come from the University of Maryland and the University of UMBC. They come from Montgomery College and the United States Naval Academy, and they spend a week working on a data analysis project or a design project or a cybersecurity project. We have been hosting this for 7 years, and it's been very successful. We usually have between 200 and 300 students every year. So 3 years ago, we decided, why not branch out and run a summer camp and do the same type of data analysis with some high school students? So we started hosting a week-long summer camp. We have students from all over Maryland that join us. The first year we had just a virtual camp. It was actually 2021, and we were not allowed to be on campus during that summer. Then the next year, last year, we had one in-person camp and one virtual camp, and that went so great. This year we had two in-person camps and one virtual camp, and they just get bigger and better every year. One of the things that we noticed the first year that we were hosting this was the high school students said, I didn't know you could study information. I didn't know you could have information as a profession. So we started having these wonderful panel discussions of information professionals so that the students could actually learn about what you can do with information as a career. So I'm going to have a wonderful person, I will introduce her in a second, introduce all of our panelists. We like to get a variety of panelists so that, again, the campers and everyone else watching this can see that information is everywhere. And information is really important for you all to understand how our society needs to have really good information professionals. So I'm going to introduce Janae Pelletier. Said that right? So I have known Janae for quite a while. Can't even remember when I met you, but one of the things that I love about Janae is everything she does, she's really good at. So when she volunteered to be the moderator for today, I jumped at the chance of inviting her to join us and to moderate all of the activities that are going to happen in the next hour. And Janae, I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right. Thank you, Kathy, for that introduction. I'll try not to let y'all down. My name is Janae Pelletier. I work for an organization called Learning Undefeated. I'll tell y'all a little bit about that at the end. But since it's after lunch and I have a feeling everybody's maybe feeling a little bit, tired in their chair, I thought instead of boring you with information about me, because it's not that important, we could play a little game. So I am going to pull up a little trivia game. So if you could tear yourself away from TikTok, you can scan the QR code with your phone, or you can put in menti.com and enter the code 794915. This is suitable for everyone. So I would love it if when you log in the bottom of your screen, you should be able to give a thumbs up so I know folks are finding it. Terrific. All right. So this is just a few little quiz questions, some about information, some about general weirdness to get folks warmed up and let's go. All right, let's play. So you should be able to log in. Excellent. I see we've got 12 players ready. I'm going to give us another just few minutes. You can put your name in. You can choose a little avatar that suits you. And the way this works is each question you have 15 seconds to answer, and the quicker you answer, the more points you get, and a few times we will show the leaderboard. Now we are playing for pride, not prize, but still, you can always let everybody that you're at camp with know that you won. So, all right, I'm going to start the quiz in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. So first question, answer fast to get more points. What does the acronym PDF stand for? You're going to have some choices, 15 seconds to answer. And once everybody rings in, it will also let me know. hopefully panelists, you know some of these answers as well. We've got 12 people in so far. All right, 10 people got the correct answer, which is portable document format. All right, good. That was the easy one. So let's keep going. Question 2. All right, everybody's ready. What is the name of the famous computer in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? Now, this is a throwback, but it's a classic. So if you have not read this book or seen this movie, which I think came out in about 2005, maybe, this is a good one to have in your back pocket. It's a good source of chit chat if you're networking, and that computer is known as Deep Thought. Excellent for 3 people who have found this. I should also mention that this entire quiz was generated by artificial intelligence. So if you have complaints, then you can take it up with the computer, great computer in the sky. Okay, third question. Truth or lie? The main purpose of a DNS is to convert IP addresses to domain names. Yes or no? Yes if you think it's truth, or no if you think it's a lie. We've got 12 people ringing in. Excellent. 3, 2, 1. All right. Truth. Yay. 12 people got that correct. I did not know the answer to this question. Thank you to ChatGPT for helping me learn some things about information science. All right. So on our leaderboard here, it looks like, whoo, everybody is really doing great. Agent X9 is winning, and we've got Wanjay Lee and VoteGoat ringing up the top 3 there. Excellent. We have just a few more questions. Okay. Whoops. I don't want to miss question 4. That's a fun one. Okay. In databases, what does CRUD stand for? I'm hoping and praying that the ChatGPT didn't steer me wrong on this one, because if I have the wrong answer, I'll never hear the end of this from Kathy. Kathy, I hope you're playing. I hope you got it right. All right, 1 more second left, and ooh, a lot of votes on here. Create, read, update, and delete. Excellent. We've only got 10 questions, so we're going through this pretty well. All right, question 5. Oh no, 7 questions. That's right, I made it a little shorter for you. Okay, which of these will wipe out the human race first? Climate change, the robots, bacteria, or general stupidity? Don't forget to ring in your answers. Panelists, you might want to discuss this during your talk and give us your opinion. Everyone has voted. Terrific. Oh, climate change. My personal opinion is that it will be the robots. However, I think all of these are equally likely, so everybody got points on this one. All right, question 6. And what is the purpose of SQL in information science? I believe this is also pronounced sequel, but I don't want to steer you wrong. I actually did know this one. I felt pretty proud of myself, to be honest. All right. And the majority say structured. Right. So folks either learn some things. Terrific. All right. And our last question, celebrity deathmatch, Demogorgon versus Yoda. Yoda, yes. All right, I'm going to give it a few more seconds. I know we've got about 13 players, so still a few people who haven't voted. All right, I appreciate people who go with the classic, and Yoda it is. Terrific work, everybody. All right, final question. That last one wasn't worth points. It was just for fun. Okay, fill in the blank. This is a type in your answer question. The what uniquely identifies each record in a database table? Fill in the blank. You have 20 seconds for this one. So since you have to type in your answer, which is hopefully enough time to type in your answer, but not look it up on Google. Don't cheat. This is for fun, people. All right, and the correct answer is primary key. Excellent. I appreciate people who were like, I don't know, man, but somebody got it. Terrific job. All right, so this is our leaderboard, the final tally of the results here. Congrats, Bodie McBoatface. I always love that one when it pops up. Yay, winner, Bodie McBoatface. Excellent. All right, so that was, instead of introducing myself, that was my introduction. But I do want to tell you a little bit about my organization because it's way cool. So I work for a place called Learning Undefeated. We are a nonprofit organization. Our mission is driving race and gender equity in STEM through experiential learning opportunities. You can find us online or at social. We are at Learning Undefeated, as noted there. So we are best known for our mobile laboratories. These are tricked out buses, shipping containers, tractor trailers that travel around from school to school. And instead of having class inside, the students come outside and have class with us. And we teach all sorts of things: biotechnology, engineering, cybersecurity, chemistry, environmental science, you name it, we teach it. These are 6 of the programs that we have. 4 of these actually are running here in Maryland. We are based in Gaithersburg. We do have quite a few programs that also are running in Texas, which is a long story. And if you want to know sometime how we got into doing business in Texas, I would be happy to tell you, but I'm not going to tell you today. We have 7 of these, and we actually have 9 more that are currently on the line being built. That will start rolling out for the 24-25 school year. So we are going through a period of what we call at the office explosive growth. It's very exciting. Okay, so if you think that sounds cool or those vehicles look interesting, we do have internship opportunities. We have fun paid summer internships, a little late now for this summer, but we'd be happy to talk to you for next summer. We also are an approved SSL volunteer hour provider for Montgomery County Public Schools. So if you are interested in volunteering with us, we'd be happy to have you do that as well. We also hire lots of instructors right out of college. We use a near peer mentoring model. So we really like to hire people who have just completed college, who our high school students will look up to and be able to learn from. And those positions, you are paid a salary in addition to travel, mileage, and meals. So if you think any of this sounds cool, look us up online there. And I'm sure if you want, Kathy can put you and me in touch to learn more. So with that, I'm going to tell you a little bit about our panelists. So I read the bios of these folks, and I think combined, they maybe have 197 years of schooling, which is quite impressive and a lot of schooling. So we have today here to talk to you, tell you a little bit about their jobs, Dr. Nathan Boss, who is the Principal Collaborative AI Engineer at the MITRE Corporation. We have Dr. Joni Floyd, who is the Curator of Maryland and Historical Collections for the University of Maryland. We have Dr. James Lee, who is Transportation Engineer with the Metropolitan Washington Council of Governments. And we also have Dr. Jonathan Pelletier, who is a pediatric intensivist at Akron Children's Hospital. Now, our first speaker here is Nathan. So I am going to stop sharing my screen and ask Nathan to turn on his camera, and we will switch places. Nathan, over to you.
Yeah, hi. Thank you for the intro. Thanks for organizing this, Kathy. So I'm going to share some slides. Oh, can I share slides or can I not do that?
Yep, I'll hang on 1 second.
Okay. I'm going to kind of blitz through. This is the stuff I've done, some examples. I'm actually really more interested in answering questions and telling you about myself, but I'll give you a little bit of background so you have some idea of what questions I might be able to answer. This is sort of my career so far. Got my undergraduate degree in 1991 in psychology, got a PhD in 1998 from the University of Michigan, spent 8 years in the School of Information there, which I'll talk about. I was at the Johns Hopkins Applied Physics Lab from 2006 to 2022. And I did a brief foray into nonprofit work. I'll have just a couple comments on that. And then I've been at MITRE since 2023. So that's where I've been. I'm gonna go through the stops in my career and tell you what did I learn about data science at each of these stops. Basically, you know, as an undergraduate, I learned some basic inferential statistics, learned to take complex problems and put them into an ethical, cultural, scientific framing, which was really valuable. And I also came away with the idea that computer science was really tedious. I started a computer science major along with my psychology major, and I did not enjoy it at all. I think I basically said I was done with it one night after staying up most of the night trying to get some C programming program to work. It turns out the compiler was actually down, but I had no way of knowing this. I came away from this experience of like, this is not fun. This is not what I want to do. I'm gonna backtrack on that because one, things have changed a lot, and two, my attitude has changed a lot. But that was my undergraduate experience. I worked as a freelance journalist for a couple of years while my wife finished her undergraduate. I went on for my PhD, where I got my union card as a PhD psychologist. I learned a lot of advanced inferential statistics, and I learned about the culture of epistemologies of different disciplines and how psychologists think about evidence and data different than even sociologists, even than other kinds of psychologists, which is interesting, but I won't talk too much about that. I think my most formative experience was 8 years I spent at the Michigan School of Information. That's the equivalent of the iSchool that Kathy is in. This was a brand new school. This thing didn't exist before 1998. It was the library school that they decided to make into a school of information, and they hired one historian, a couple economists, a bunch of computer scientists, and 2 psychologists, one of whom was my postdoc advisor, so I went along for the ride. And this was a really formative experience. This is a school of everyone there had a background in something else, but they were coming together and saying, there's a lot of interesting stuff going on in information science. Let's try to figure out how to make a discipline out of this. And that's where I learned that everything, data science questions, even the small questions, like how do you index things and how do you find things and how do you archive things, even those seemingly mundane questions are really interesting when you put them in the context of something you're trying to learn or some problem you're trying to solve. And the students in that program were also really interesting. It was a master's only program at that point. Now you can get an undergraduate degree. At the time it was master's. And almost everyone in there had gotten a degree in something completely different. The typical student was somebody who got a degree in German literature because they loved German literature, and then graduated and said, well, I guess I need to find a job now. So they went back and got a master's in data science. And that combination of having some domain knowledge, something that they knew about and were passionate about, but then some good data skills, that was a fantastic combination. And they really could not produce master's students fast enough. They were getting hired before they graduated often. That was my that was my iSchool experience in a nutshell. I'll talk about what I did at Hopkins. Probably a little less relevant to you guys at the high school level. I was joined as a psychologist in a place that had 7,000, sort of engineers, mostly engineers, mathematicians, physicists, very few behavioral science people. What I learned, thinking, okay, what is a psychologist good at in this context? What I learned is behavioral scientists with data science skills are really good at managing ambiguity. People would come to me with problems that were hard to quantify. I'll give an example in a minute. And what I learned, I worked there and I actually hired a number of people over the course of those years. And I learned that, and I also learned behavioral scientists need to understand how to mix qualitative and quantitative research together, because that's actually kind of rarer than being able to do one or the other. People who can cross that barrier really well. This is one of my hobby horses, is when people use the word qualitative to mean subjective and quantitative to mean objective. That's not how it is. Those are orthogonal concepts. You can have objective qualitative data and subjective quantitative data. That's a little bit inside baseball, so I won't dwell on that. One example project I did this is one of the cooler projects that I did near the end is I worked with the Air Force was developing artificial intelligence that was going to fire fighter jets. They hired me to think about the trust problem, how they're going to get pilots to trust this automation. The psychology background, of course, helped me frame the trust problem, but the information science background really helped me see the gaps. And my message to them over the course of several years was, pilots don't trust this because you're not telling them anything. They sit in this airplane, you're asking them to push a button. It's just a simulator. But anyway, in any case, push a button that might, in the sim, get them killed. And you've told them nothing about how this thing operates, how it makes decisions. There's no feedback. There's no transparency. So I wouldn't trust it. There's no reason your pilots should trust it. So long story short, that message was received. It did change, and that same message being echoed by other people is changing how people think about human-centered artificial intelligence right now, which is a really fascinating field to be in. Highly recommend it if you have some interest in artificial intelligence. Go for it. I did a brief stint in some nonprofit work. I won't talk a lot about it there. I had to leave for family-related reasons. I did hire someone. I think that's the last time I hired someone. And what was interesting is we got a ton of resumes for an entry-level data science position. A lot of people applied for this, but don't let that discourage you. The differentiators when looking through this big pile of resumes, trying to say, oh, like all these smart people, which one do we interview? Just a couple of quick tips. Put your actual work on GitHub so people can see what you actually did. It's one thing to have on your resume, I took this class. It's another thing to say, I took this class in machine learning, and you can see what I did right here. You can pull it up and you can press the buttons and see what I found. Just small job application tip. Second, know something about something else besides data science, have some other interests. And third is just keep at it. Like I said, there were a lot of applicants. I gave feedback to a lot of the ones that made the short list, which actually isn't common. They were all really grateful. Usually my feedback was, yeah, you look like a smart person. You probably could do this job. We end up hiring somebody else. But yeah, keep at it because you're a smart person. You're gonna find it your way in. And that's always my advice. And I'm now at MITRE. I'm working with language models as much as possible so that ChatGPT's GPT-4, that whole class of models is really fascinating. So I'm doing a fair amount of work with that. And as an example project, I'm actually here today. I'm actually at the University of Maryland today at the hotel across the street at a conference for deaf and hard of hearing people. And as an example problem, we're helping the FCC, that's the Federal Communication Commission, with they're requiring video conferencing companies like Zoom to be more accessible to people who are hard of hearing, to be able to integrate with some of the sign language and captioning services. We're collecting some data, helping them think through how to do that, both on sort of the human side and the technical side. We're helping FCC define what functionally equivalent means, because that's actually what the law says. That's a great sort of psychologist question, because it's got a lot of ambiguity, but trying to make that precise enough to measure. And actually working with language models to develop some caption error metrics. All right, that is me in a nutshell. And yeah, I'll look forward to hearing from the other presenters and taking some questions at the end.
All right, thank you. That was interesting. I'm excited and terrified about the AI for fighter pilots. I would like to know more about that later.
Don't be scared of AI. It's exciting.
All right, so next up we have Dr. Joni Floyd, who has a really interesting background. She has served as the executive director of the Maryland Commission on African American History of Culture, as well as the director of the Banneker Douglas Museum, and she currently leads the Maryland History and Culture Collaborative, which is a coalition of cultural heritage institutions from all across the state. So I'm going to turn it over to Joni, and Joni, you have 10 minutes, and I will let you know in the chat when you have 2 minutes left.
Wonderful. Hello, campers, and my fellow panelists, organizers, and guests. It certainly is a pleasure to be with you all this afternoon, and I'm very happy to talk to you about the path that got me to my current position in academic libraries and what I enjoy about this public service role. First, I want to tell you that I was born and raised in Maryland. I come from a small community in Anne Arundel County. And speaking of throwbacks, those of you who are familiar with the Gilmore Girls, I kind of grew up in a community much like Stars Hollow. And for those of you not familiar with the Gilmore Girls, just know that my hometown was very tight-knit. Thank you, Janae. So by tight-knit, we were very united when we worked together to fight external threats, such as eminent domain, changes to the zoning laws, overdevelopment, traffic, and just other forms of community erasure. And we worked well also to create and maintain a community identity through community programming. And we'd have things like fundraisers, annual parades. I don't know why I use the past tense because this all still goes on. And then neighborhood scrapbooks, more like annual yearbooks. Basically, I've taken those lessons that I learned from community building and community sustaining and applied them to all the major positions that I've had since then. The other thing that I just sort of, the saying and sort of one of those models that I live by, and I'll tell you my final motto at the end, is to whom much is given, much is expected. So in my very own way, I have been working on providing equal opportunity and access to the American dream. And my first stop was by becoming a professor. I got my MA and PhD at UCLA, and my focus was multi-ethnic literature. And my goal was diversifying the American literary canon by author, subject matter, and genre. One of my favorite assignments for students, I didn't just sort of stand up there and lecture and give quizzes and assign papers, is that I wanted to engage the students with the text and their imagination. I would have them create, I would give them a scenario, say an author and a fictional character would have to do something together. So they'd have to write a script and justify it. So for example, what if Jack London and the main character from Toni Morrison's Beloved would go camping together? What would that look like and why? So that kind of activity would help students to find new approaches to the text. It would help them build their comprehension, but it also built their cooperation and relationship building skills. And while my career and this kind of community building was going well, there was a pull from my hometown, and I was asked to help more on a county level. I was asked to help mine the Maryland State Archives to find some evidence to appeal a zoning decision that went against some local truck drivers who were no longer allowed to park their trucks in the community. And by using the research that I did in the archives, they won that appeal. Then I was also asked to work with the county to come up with the history that really wasn't kept in the archives. Some was in the archives, but I'd have to go to community members to help what was a historically segregated school, a school just for African Americans. It was redeveloped into multiple uses, but it also had a little heritage center. So doing that kind of work really got me excited. I looked at, what kind of degree could I get that would help me do more of that kind of work? And yes, there's a museum studies degree, and now you can do that as part of archives and library science, but I chose a library degree because it gave me the flexibility to work in multiple cultural heritage institutions, libraries, archives, museums, research centers. So I began working for the Governor's Office of Community Initiatives. So I was doing community building on a statewide level. And I like that kind of public-facing work that involves community engagement, but also to sharpen my skills with project management, program administration, and I know we're sort of primarily focused on data science here, but just showing you the breadth of what you can do with this degree. I got to lead oral history projects, of course, exhibits, writing, working, and leading documentaries, and then also managing a state grant for capital projects. Here at the University of Maryland, I'm in the faculty. I'm part of the Special Collections and University Archives. That is a faculty line. I collect, build, interpret, and provide access to materials that document the history and culture of Maryland. In this capacity, I'm responsible for collection development, providing reference service, instruction, outreach, and writing scholarly articles. Of course, this work involves sharing resources all across the state. And so that is why this collaborative is it's one of my priorities, because we all across the state can do community engagement. It works if there's on a statewide level, if we can have sort of multiple outposts that kind of go deeper into community to document that history and to help provide that voice to those sort of more marginalized in the state. In terms of my passion in particular for this, my role here is community-based archives. And that is an extension of the community-based participatory research model you might see in sociology. There's a focus on inclusion, collaboration, and for facilitating equitable partnerships with community members. Just finally, what the words that I have to inspire you is another model that inspires me. Hope it inspires you. It's from the Black Women's Club movement of the 19th century, and their motto is "Lift as you climb." Thank you.
Wow, that was a really interesting and different use of information science than I ever could have imagined. Thank you, Joni, for sharing that with us. All right, next we have Dr. James Lee, who, after reading his bio, I have to say, I feel like he is my personal hero, because he is working with the Metropolitan Washington Council of Government and spearheading something called the congestion management process, which I have to imagine involves making traffic better here. So James, bless you. It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Lee. I will let you know in the chat when you have 2 minutes left.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. I'm truly delighted to be here with all of you who have spent an exciting week at the Info Challenge summer camps at the University of Maryland. Today, I want to share my journey in the world of information, specifically in the field of transportation, and hopefully inspire you to explore the vast opportunities it offers. So just like many of you, I was once a high school student filled with curiosity and wonder about the world around me. After working in the software industry for a few years, I was intrigued by the way information and technology transform transportation systems. This fascination led me down a path that shaped my career. I decided to pursue a postgraduate degree in civil engineering with a specialization in transportation. This allowed me to learn the intricacy of designing and managing transportation systems. However, what truly sparked my interest was the role of information in optimizing and improving these systems. As I progressed in my studies, I started to delve deeper into the world of transportation information. I realized that data-driven decision-making was at the heart of creating efficient and sustainable transportation networks. My journey continued with a desire to explore the intersection of transportation, technology, and information. Today, as a certified public manager and transportation professional, my passion lies in leveraging information to shape the future of transportation. I would like to share some aspects of the information field in transportation that I am truly passionate about. The first one would be congestion management process, in short, CMP. I firmly believe that data-driven strategies are essential for managing traffic congestion effectively. By analyzing real-time data from various sources, we can identify bottlenecks and implement solutions that improve mobility for millions of people. Second would be the intelligent transportation systems, in short, ITS. So ITS is an exciting area where technology and information converge to make transportation safer and more efficient. From connected vehicles to smart traffic signals, these innovations have the potential to revolutionize our daily commute. Third, data analytics and visualization. So understanding vast amounts of transportation data can be challenging, but it is also incredibly rewarding. Extracting insights from data and presenting them in a meaningful way helps us make informed decisions and communicate complex ideas to stakeholders. So as you embark on your own journey, whether it is in transportation or any other field, there are a few key takeaways that I hope will inspire you as the next generation of information professionals. The first one would be follow your passion. Identify what truly excites you and pursue it with unwavering enthusiasm. Your passion will be the driving force behind your success. Second, stay curious and adaptive. The world of information is constantly evolving, and being adaptable and curious will keep you at the forefront of innovation. Third, impact lives positively. Information has the power to transform lives. Strive to make a positive impact through your work, and remember that the changes you make can affect countless individuals. So in conclusion, the field of transportation information is an exciting and dynamic realm that offers endless possibilities. Embrace your passion, seize every opportunity to learn and grow, and never underestimate the potential of information in shaping the world around us. Thank you for your time, and I wish each one of you that the best as you journey into the fascinating world of information and transportation. Your future holds great promise, and I have no doubt that you will contribute to creating a connected and sustainable world. Good luck. Thank you.
Wow, thank you, Dr. Lee. That was really interesting to learn about some of those projects too. All right, our last speaker is a different kind of doctor, a medical doctor. So Dr. John Pelletier is a pediatric intensivist at Akron Children's Hospital. He earned his medical degree at Tufts University in Boston and did his residency at Duke in Durham, North Carolina, followed by a fellowship at the Pittsburgh Children's Hospital. So take it away, Dr. Pelletier, and I will let you know in the chat when you have 2 minutes left.
Cool. Thanks so much for having me. It is a wonderful chance to get to talk to students who are interested in information management and data science. So I think Probably the first thing that comes up is like, what is a medical doctor doing in this conversation at all? I would like to take a step back and let you guys know. I want to echo something that Nathan said at the beginning, which is that the best data scientists and the people of the most to offer in terms of insight are both people who have a mind for information management and data management, and people who have content expertise. So people who can understand the subject that the numbers are about. I am what's called a pediatric intensivist, which means that I work in a pediatric ICU. So I take care of infants and children who are sick enough to need to come to the ICU or need a ventilator or blood pressure manipulation or those kinds of things. That's what I do when I'm wearing my clinical hat. But for about half of my job, I am also one of the hospital data scientists. So there is a whole field of study called medical informatics or healthcare informatics. And it's actually a board certification that is available for doctors who want to specialize in information management. Just like I hold a certification to be allowed to work in the ICU, you can also hold certifications to be allowed to help manage healthcare data. So that's what I do. About half my time I work clinically and spend time with patients. And then about half my time I spend on the computer trying to figure out how we can use healthcare data to help people get better faster. So for some examples of real world projects that involve this kind of work, I got interested in data science when I was what's called a critical care fellow. So I always enjoyed computer science, but I did not have any formal training in it before I went to medical school. During my pathway of medical training, you go to med school, then you become a resident doctor. And then if you want to specialize, you become what's called a fellow, which is where I learned to work in the ICU. And that was the time when I learned to start working with computer code and start working with data to try and accomplish research. Some of the first work I did was using computer data to figure out which patients would benefit from receiving early antibiotics in terms of having a decreased chance of getting a severe infection. And then since that time, I've gotten progressively more interested in understanding how we can better help people who are having breathing difficulty and who need what we call respiratory support, either some of our fancy oxygen machines or breathing tubes and ventilators. So I've been able to do some work over the past couple of years looking at how we can ventilate patients more efficiently to decrease their time on the ventilator and get them out of the ICU and out of the hospital faster. I've also had the chance to do some really fun work looking at how COVID or the COVID pandemic has changed the other viruses and the other illnesses that cause people to come into the hospital. So looking at the way viruses in the world impact the circulation of each other and how that impacts us as a healthcare system. Most recently, I have been doing a couple of projects, some looking at COVID, and then also some looking at how we can help patients who have breathing difficulty who do not need ventilators, but just need oxygen machines, get them out of the hospital faster. And most recently, looking at what we call predictive dispositioning, which means taking patients when they're sick in the emergency department and being able to predict which ones of those patients really need to come to the ICU and spend some time with me, and which ones of them we can safely put to lower acuity areas in the hospital, keep children closer together with their families, and decrease the amount of time they spend in the hospital and how much that costs. So these are the things that I really enjoy about these projects. So number one, they definitely have all of the math and science that I find really fun about data science. But thing two is that they, at the end of these projects, they have really real world tangible impacts in terms of being able to make patient care better, ultimately make patients get better faster, hopefully keep them in the hospital for less time, and also reduce how much their bills are at the end of their hospital stay, which is something I'm really passionate about. And then in my free time, I also build computer simulators of ventilators to teach the next generation of doctors how to understand a ventilator and how to use it more efficiently. So I enjoy that part of my job because it's a lot like playing a video game, except the video game runs on math. And so I always enjoyed getting to play video games when I was a teenager, and now I still get to do it and people pay me for it. So yeah, I think that's all I have. I do have like a screen we can share. We can look at some of those ventilator sims, but I think probably it's more fun for people to get to ask questions and see what they want to see.
Okay, thanks, John. I think in the end, all video games actually run on math, which is like a well-kept secret, but I'm sure a lot of people in this Zoom meeting already know that. All right, so we have 13 minutes left for questions. Dr. Weaver let me know that some of you already wrote your questions down and have them ready to ask. So if you would raise your hand and turn on your camera, we can do that. I don't know if there's a way to put up all the panelists together. I will let the Zoom fairy figure that out, or we can at least show the person who's answering the question. So, all right, who's got a question? Dr. Weaver, maybe you want to start us off and ask a question of one of the panelists just to get us going. Is that all right?
Sure, I'd be glad to. So, Dr. Pelletier, I was just curious, with all of your analysis that you're doing, what tools do you use? The students this week, let me step back. It's like the students this week were learning how to use Tableau to do analysis and do their presentations.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, I've used Tableau. The short answer to your question is it depends. The long answer to your question is that the tool I'm using depends largely on the project I'm doing. So we do some of our more simple analyses in Tableau because it doesn't require any computer coding, or at least it's a light coding interface. For projects of that scale, we also sometimes use Excel or Alteryx, which is another data science software. For more detailed projects or for building simulations, I typically work in R, sometimes known as RStudio, by a company called Posit.
Okay. Do any of the campers want to know what the other panelists use for their tools? You can give me a thumbs up. You can raise your hand. You can do something. Yes, we got lots of thumbs ups going. So can the panelists kind of rotate through and share what kind of tools? One of the things that is wonderful about these camps is that a lot of the students have only used Excel to do a little teeny bit, but they're starting to use they were using Tableau this week, and they were very fascinated by the fact that there was actually a dedicated program. So Nathan, I know you've used R, and I'm not sure what else you've used, but if you guys want to just rotate through and share what analysis tools that you have used, that would be great.
Yeah, so yeah, you tend to use a lot of tools in this field. You can do an awful lot in Excel. People who are really good at it can do impressive things. But yeah, it's eventually you'll want to learn a little bit about databases. And Python really seems to be the most common thing across fields right now. So if you're gonna learn one sort of programming environment, start with Python. And there's if you like doing things through a graphical user interface, there's ways to do that as well. So.
well, I could go next. So I fully agree with the Python and R's value. And in my organization, we also use SAS, SAS for the statistical analysis. And I would like to, well, I cannot emphasize more about the importance of database management systems like SQL or MySQL or things like that, because when you are dealing with a large amount of data, without those tools, without those database management tools, it will be very challenging. And I don't think Excel can handle those stuff. But of course, you can ask someone to abstract those, to retrieve some information from those data and then conduct your analysis in the Excel, which will result in interesting insights as well. So that would be my 2 cents, the database management systems and echo about the R and Python. Thank you.
I'll just add quickly because I work in a place with a sort of centralized processing. So I have the luxury of not working in the same capacity, but relying on my colleagues to do a lot of that work. And so I do, as a user and as someone who trains researchers, we use Archive Space, which is basically a database of the finding aids that we use to navigate through our collection. And we use, in terms of open source, we use the Internet Archives for a lot of the things that are in university archives that are in the public domain, like yearbooks. And I just got back, and that's why I'm losing my voice, from a workshop on digital preservation. So I'm learning to use data accessioner.
Interesting.
All right. I was just going to remind people that they can put their questions in the chat. We do have a question, if that's okay.
Yes, go ahead.
What tips would you give someone who is trying to enter the DBM space post-graduation? I'm going to ask that again, just so folks can answer. What tips, and I see John turned his camera on, and also I know him personally, so I'm going to call on him. John, what tips would you give someone who's trying to enter the DBM space post-graduation?
Sure, absolutely. So my assumption is that most of the people on the panel right now are in high school. And so if data science is something that you're interested, or DBM, database management, is something that you're interested in, one, congratulations, you're going to have a job forever. But two, so almost all of our work, collectively for everyone on the panel here, is going to require some form of an advanced degree. And so there are a lot of different ways to get into data science, but some surefire ways that will set you up for success as you move into college. Computer science is a great potential course of study. Mathematics or statistics is a great potential course of study. But it's also true that one of the great things about data scientists is that people who have a mind for data often have a mind for it because they understand the content that data is about. And so if you have an area of passion, if you're like, gosh, I really want to do data science or database management, but I'm interested in being an astronaut or working for NASA, it's also totally reasonable to, and in fact, maybe even better, to get your undergrad degree in aeronautical engineering and then pick up a computer science minor or pick up a statistics minor. Or if you are interested in something something like what I do, I would say, gosh, it makes a whole bunch of sense to go in as a computer science or stats major and do a pre-med minor. So you have all of that other content information. Or equally, gosh, you want to go in as a biology or chemistry major and do a minor in computer science. That would be equally great. The other thing I would advise is that a lot of these jobs offer internships. And that's something you can do while you're in college to put it on your resume. And a lot of times the people we bring on as interns, we are interested in bringing back as faculty once they graduate. So I can speak here at Akron Children's. We have a college level summer student internship program. I think I put the link in the chat. And a lot of times we take on people who are interested in going into medicine, but we also take on people who have a primary interest in data science. And this summer, of the 4 students I worked with, 3 of them were headed into medical school, but the 4th one was actually a data science major, an undergrad data science major, and we are very interested in bringing in people like that and bringing them back to potentially work for our institution after they've had an internship with us. So be on the lookout for those kinds of things.
Excellent. Thank you, John. All right. A question for some of the other panelists from Samantha. What is your favorite thing about your job? Maybe I'll call on Dr. Floyd to kick us off, and then the other folks can chime in.
Oh, there's so many things I like about my job. I think that if I had to choose a top one, it would be working with community groups and helping them document their history, and just seeing their eyes sort of light up because the university finds value in their history and experiences as much as they do. So that kind of community engagement.
Excellent. Thank you. Any of the other panelists? Nathan or James or John?
I really do like variety. I like to work on different problems. So in the spaces that I've been, which is some academia and places that do a lot of consulting, I have that opportunity every, the things I'm working on right now aren't the things I'll be working on 2 years from now. And I'm in a position where a place that the government or people hire when they have a problem they don't know how to solve yet. So yeah, I really enjoy that, taking on novel problems, and yeah.
Well, there are a lot of funds to work with my agency. I would like to answer the next question about what should I take in high school if I want to major in data science. The reason is because I would, first of all, my answer will be math. So if you are not good at math, then I would urge you to spend more time on that, because whatever data structure, data analysis, math can help you in a long way. So that would be my quick question regarding that. And I would like to also mention, as my elder daughter lives in me, so she got a chance to go to UMD and go through the data science program. So that's I always would like to share with the younger generation. Well, believe me, math will be the easiest part of the data science. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to shout out other classes they think students should take in preparation now besides math? Are there other classes that you think are important at the high school level? Okay, math it is. All right, well, I want to be respectful of the time limit. It is 2 o'clock. I wanted to wrap up though and say that If you are interested in working in the nonprofit world, there are also a lot of opportunities for data science. So an organization like Learning Undefeated, or one of the many terrific nonprofit organizations that are out there solving problems like hunger and poverty and climate change, they all need people to validate the work they're doing. You know, we need people who are interested in program efficacy and evaluation and all of that sort of data science side as well. So there are so many opportunities for you in this field. No matter what issue you're passionate about, there is a place for you in this field to do terrific work. So I really want to thank our panelists. I learned a lot today. Thank you, Dr. Weaver, for asking me. And unless there are any wrap-up items I need to do, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Weaver to end our session.
All right. Thank you so much, Janae, and thank you all panelists. That was fantastic. We do a different panel every year, and even though I've been in the information world for almost 30 years, I still learn from all the panelists, and I love that. So I think we are just about done. Thank you, panelists, again. Thank you, Janae. Thank you, campers and interns and Sammy for being here. And I think Josh, you could probably turn off the live stream. Okay. All right. Welcome, everyone. My name is Kathy Weaver. I am the creator and the director of the Information Challenge Initiative and a senior lecturer in the College of Information Studies at the University of Maryland. The Information Challenge Initiative gets to host the fun events like the Info Challenge for the college students in the spring. We've been doing that for 7 years. And 3 years ago, we thought, why not bring it to high school students for a summer camp? So we've had 3 very successful summers. This year, we had 2 in-person camps, and this one is our virtual camp this week. And this is our award ceremony. The students have been working all week long to do data analysis, focusing on global change, and they presented to the judges this morning. We did the calculations, and we are ready to share the results. But before we do that, I would like to introduce the dean of our college, Dean Keith Marzullo. He has been incredibly supportive of the Information Challenge Initiative. 3 years ago, when we came to him and we said, we want to take the Info Challenge and turn it into summer camps. And he said, yes. And I said, don't you want to hear about it? And he said, do it. So we did. And as he suspected, everything has been really successful. So I'm going to turn it over to Keith. Thank you very much. Oh, Keith, we can't hear you. No, we can't hear you. Doesn't look like you're on mute. Oh no. We should have tested this ahead of time. Sorry, everyone. Okay. Nothing yet. Nothing yet. Nothing yet. Nothing. Nope. 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 Okay.
Try this.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So, as I was about to tell you, I'm the dean of the iSchool, and we're all about information technology for good. But I'm telling you, sometimes Zoom ain't so good. I apologize for that. Yeah. Anyway, it's a pleasure to meet you and talk with you all. Actually, what I just said, information technology for good, that is our motto. And you had a chance in this camp to see a little bit of what we mean by that. That we're interested in how can information be used to improve people's lives, individuals and in groups, teams, societies, the world. This is what we do. So just a small plug, if you like this kind of stuff, consider applying to come join us and get an information science degree or a social data science degree or an information technology information design degree here from the University of Maryland. And you will learn so much more about this from from our wonderful faculty. Speaking of wonderful, I have heard about the campers in this one, and from what I hear, you guys are tearing it up. You're doing great. And I know you've been learning about data science, working on team building skills, understanding information challenges. I know that at least with some other students, I assume with you as well, you learn the valuable lesson, you pick up some data and you have a hypothesis, and then you find out your hypothesis doesn't hold water. That's called research. And it is actually, at some point, you learn to embrace those moments because that's how you learn. Again, we teach you that stuff here at the University of Maryland as well. But it's great. So first, let me just turn it around and thank Kathy for her vision in creating this whole information challenge, both the one for the college students all across the region, as well as with the camps. It's been wonderful. Also want to thank Sammy Kemper, who's been the coordinator for this. Sammy, I don't know how we could do this without you. You got the interns who create the data sets, you coordinate all the registration, and you've enjoyed working with all the campers. You smile through the whole thing. It's just wonderful. So thank you both for all the great leadership you've been showing in making this camp such reality. But now let me get off the stage because I can only talk for so long. I want to introduce the MC for this, the person who's going to be running the award ceremony, and that is our own Professor Katie Schulten. Katie is a person who must have a fairly large head because she wears so many hats around this college. She is the director of our social data science program, which is a program I think you would love. She's also an incredible professor. Her students love her, even when she makes them think really hard. And she is also a fantastic researcher, really looking at the way human values are embedded with the technology and information that we're building. Her recent success in this is she's a co-PI on an NSF/AI Institute Trails, but she's been doing this work for a long time. It's really wonderful. So let me turn this over to Katie and let's give her a round warm of applause.
Oh, thank you, Keith. I'm so excited to be here today. As Keith mentioned, one of the things I do at the college is I'm one of the two directors of our social data science program. And social data science is not a major maybe you've heard of it after this week, but it's not a major that everybody's parents or friends have heard of, but it's exactly the kinds of things that you all were doing this week, taking data sets about people, about the environment, about the world that surrounds us, and trying to answer hard questions with that data, and training our students to go out into the workplace to be able to answer the kinds of questions that you started experimenting with this week. So I had a chance to view all of your presentations. I'm so impressed. Really interesting questions, really interesting data, and really interesting findings. So congratulations. And yes, I hope you will think about Maryland when you start thinking about college. Okay, so now I get to do the fun part, which is the awards. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to announce the award and the group number, and then I would like that group to introduce themselves. So your name and also the school that you go to. Okay, so be ready in case it's you. So our first award is for Best Analysis. And I'm really happy to announce that the award for Best Analysis goes to team number 2. So team number 2, would you introduce yourselves?
Hi. My name is Savannah. I live in Maryland and I go to Urbana High School.
Excellent. Thank you, Savannah.
My name is Jessica, and I go to a high school in Kansas called Blue Valley West.
Welcome, Jessica.
Hi, my name is Youngso. My high school is in Maryland. Yeah.
Congratulations, Youngso. All three of you, really excellent job. Okay, our next award is for Best Presentation. And so I would like to congratulate group number 3. Group number 3, can you introduce yourselves?
I'm Jung-Woon. I go to school at Frederick County. And I'm from
Welcome, Jung-Moon. That's excellent.
My name is Won-jae, and I'm attending school in Maryland, Hagerstown.
Excellent. Won-jae, nice to meet you.
Yeah.
I'm Jun, and I go to a school near Hagerstown, Maryland.
Welcome, June, and congratulations, all three of you, on your beautiful presentation. And finally, I am really happy to announce Best Overall Project. Group 1, congratulations. Could you introduce yourselves?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Will. I'm 17 and I go to Walt Whitman High School in Montgomery County.
Hi, Will. Congratulations.
I'm Isabella. I'm a rising junior and I go to Poolsville High School in Montgomery County.
Congratulations, Isabella.
Hi, I'm Amy. I'm also a rising senior, 17 years old, and I go to a high school near Dallas, Texas.
Congratulations, Amy, and welcome. Well, all three groups, fantastic job. There were elements of every presentation that were just so incredible. And I'm really impressed. Hope to see you all as Terps in the future. And I'm going to hand this back to Kathy Weaver.
All right. Thank you, Katie. Everyone seemed to have a fantastic week. I was kind of popping in and out of Discord all week to see what was going on. And it seemed like everything was going great. You guys were having a good time. And I also looked through your presentations and they were fantastic. So I am just gonna talk for 1 second before I turn this over to Sammy, but I want you all to know how important Sammy has been to the camps. As Dean Marzullo said, she's been the basically the coordinator, the director, the everything. And the rest of us could have fallen off a cliff and you all would still be running in the camps. But if we lost Sammy, it wouldn't happen. She was responsible for making sure that all the forms were filled out and that everything was taken care of and that Discord was ready to go. So I really want to say a huge thank you to Sammy for everything that you all did, that you did for everybody, not just this week, but all 3 weeks. But we really appreciate it. We couldn't have done this without you. So I'm going to turn this over to Sammy to close the camps.
Oof. I have to say a huge thank you because while Kathy has given me a huge amount and Keith have given me a huge amount of credit, this would not have happened without the interns. They did the hard work these past 3 weeks and I can't thank them enough. So Max, Fatma, Tiara, Tasfia, Celine, you guys deserve a round of applause. You have been amazing. You've done all of the direct work with the campers and learned all about climate change in addition to the stuff that you already knew. I also need to say a thank you to Jeff Henriksen, who has helped to gather the last minute data for me. So we set up a data set to form a basis for each week, and then we invited our campers to find other things they wanted to either associate with that or something else associated with climate change that they wanted to look at. And then they would say, we want to do X. And that led to late nights scrambling to grab data to do whatever it was, which was so much fun to see people, to see the campers ask these giant questions and want to learn more. So he has been instrumental in making sure that actually happened. And finally, thank you to the campers. Every single time we do this, I am amazed by how fabulous you all are. And thank you to the parents for letting us borrow your amazing children, because doing this is the thing that makes me think we're gonna solve this. We have this amazing group of young, intelligent leaders rising up, and you guys are amazing. You make this entirely worth it. And that's why I spend my weeks of camp exhausted but smiling. So thank you guys. You have been amazing, and it has been a pleasure to work with all of you. That's all I have for you.
All right, we are good. So Josh, you could turn off the live stream.